Hello and welcome to the TechGig podcast, folks. I'm your host Sukriti, and I'm delighted to bring you another episode of the podcast where I will talk about emerging technologies and innovations happening in the big data and analytics. Now, the term big data refers to the growing volume of data that organizations are struggling to actually manage effectively. While the concept of big data is not new, the technology landscape is constantly evolving, making it difficult to keep up with the latest trends. Big data technology solutions help with the problems, and we're going to explore the technologies for managing and analyzing big data technology with our special guest for today. Folks, please join me in welcoming Thomas Bean, who's the CMO of DataStax. Welcome to the show, Thomas. I'm so delighted to have you here with me today for this conversation.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. I'm super excited about our conversation.
So, Thomas, without any further ado, I would quickly jump to the questions. Tell us about the most exciting emerging technologies in the field of big data and analytics right now, and how are they actually being applied to solve the real world problems that the chief marketing officers normally have.
Yeah, so first of all, I have to mention it's not quite the technology, but we never had access to as much data as today. A lot of digital experiences are creating a lot of data points we can have about our customers and how they're using our services. So that creates a lot of potential that then our new technologies allow us marketers to leverage. The first technology that I think is super exciting is beyond the traditional analytics that we've used for a long time. Is more this notion of augmented analytics, where we can consume these vast volumes of data, apply machine learning, and really get deeper insights. I think it really provides a new perspective on a new insights from this data, and that leads to better decision making. And another very exciting technology, which everybody's talking about at the moment, is of course artificial intelligence. We are right now living in an incredible time when it comes to artificial intelligence. There's so much, feels like every week there's something new. Everybody talks about at the moment about ChatGPT and Bard, like these generative AI technologies. This is super exciting and maybe even frightening at times, given the capabilities that they have, because they can gather a lot of information and give us a perspective that probably would take us a long time to do. And they can do a pretty job at also creating content. But there is another uprising field of AI, which I think is quite important for businesses in general, and especially marketing. And it's this notion of real-time AI. What if this power, these insights, could be obtained immediately, and then can be applied to personalize an experience or make an impact based on the behavior, based on the information that we know on our customers. And this is something that actually is a bit more pervasive than we think in our experiences that we use every day, but which really has the potential to change the trajectory, not only of the services and the products all of us provide and take to market, but actually complete businesses. So yeah, really augmented analytics, AI, and especially real-time AI are really I think the very exciting emerging technologies that are appearing in the field of big data and analytics.
I completely second you, Thomas, on the part where AI has actually set up a lot of excitement for all of us, right, from ChatGPT to any kind of innovation that's kind of happening these days. Moving on to the next one, tell me, how do these technologies actually help marketers make the sense of vast amounts of data and extract valuable insights from it?
So I will start. There are 3 points for which these technologies are changing the game. And the first one is the notion of scale. I mean, you are an expert in big data, but it's one thing having a lot of data. It's another thing being able to consume it and really drive insights from it. And I think these technologies, when you use the right one, you really have an ability to consume the many events that may come from your website. And that's an important one, because you don't have to make compromises on the data and therefore the insights that you're going to drive. The second element is, I think we're getting much deeper insights, things that in the past it would take probably months to get to. We can now have pretty quick access to understanding what drives the behavior of a customer, or types of customer, of a segment. So that's an important element. And there are some predefined models that will help us get to these insights in an easier way. And then the last element, which I think is probably the most important, is really this notion of speed. The fact that we can get much faster to these insights, actually, even in a context of a user session, or when we have a user that's waiting behind a screen for its game or its service. I think that's the very exciting aspect, because you get this power from the understanding that you have, and then you still have the opportunity to take an action that will lead to the outcome that you want, which is that the person might accept an offer. Or I take a very positive example here. We could have the opposite example. You're actually able to identify if a certain transaction is potentially fraudulent. So for the benefit of your customer, you can actually block it. So I think we're getting to an era where the marketers and, in general, anybody interested in big data and analytics are getting much faster to the insights that they need, and in a much deeper way, but are able actually to act on it and really make a business impact. And I think that's really how these technologies are changing the game.
Okay. Also, how do you see these technologies actually evolving in the next 5 to 10 years, if I may ask? And what kind of impact do you think will they have on the field of big data and analytics, Thomas?
So I think what's super exciting is that we are seeing they're going to, I was about to say challenge, but they're going to redefine the notion of an application. And there's an analyst firm that said by 2027, so tomorrow, 90% of applications will incorporate AI or be fully AI driven. And that's I think is something that is extremely important, because that's really where the notions I was just describing of this understanding of who's using the application and what the business needs to drive as an outcome, with the ability to act in a moment, is super exciting. It's really going to change not only the way we build applications, but also the way we consume application. And if you look at what's already happening today, there are very strong signals of this happening. I could mention Netflix. Everybody knows Netflix, but do you know that everything you see as you scroll is actually machine learning that is applied based on your preferences, based on your peers' preference, and based on what Netflix knows about the content. A lot of gaming experiences also are constantly optimized in this way. And that's where we enter in this new era where applications are going to be completely different, and they will be powered by big data analytics and AI. So I think it's quite exciting. Another example, which I love, actually, a company that was started in India, a startup, a unicorn called Unifor, who's now in Silicon Valley, and they're a customer of ours, and they're able to analyze sentiment during Zoom calls. So that helps sellers, as an example, adapt. So it's a very good example of what marketers will be able to do, but anybody who's interested in big data and analytics are going to be able to do with technologies like real-time AI. We've been used to drive like predictions and outcomes a few days after, which is honestly a little bit too late. Now we'll have the ability to drive from within these experiences. And I think the impact on big data and analytics is that this is going to create such an acceleration, because the amount of data will be connected to the fact that it's going to become even more a customer-facing technology is going to really accelerate the ease of use, accelerate the depth that we're going to be able to get to. And more than ever, big data and analytics is going to become one of the critical skills that every enterprise, or company, I should say, not only enterprises, startups as well, needs to absolutely master to make a difference, because that difference will be built in every session all the time. So this notion of intelligence that is enabled by big data and analytics is going to become absolutely strategic for any type of business.
Wonderful. Also, Thomas, we all know that anything, any technology, any practice that we try to implement, whenever and whatever we are trying to look at, that comes with a certain set of challenges. Now, help us understand what are the challenges organizations face when it comes to adopting these technologies, and how they can actually overcome them?
So yes, there are some challenges. We see actually quite a few companies who want to emulate what Netflix and Uber and others have done, but the challenge actually come a little bit from our past. And I love analytics, but what I'm going to say is going to be a little bit controversial. Is that especially when it comes to implementing these machine learning architecture, we still have the reflex that we all had for 30, 40, 50 years, which is like, okay, let's take the data, let's bring it to machine learning like we did it to the data warehouse, and then let's drive the insights, and then let's run the model, and the challenge is that with the scale of data today, I mean, a lot of these applications are in the cloud. I'm thinking about some of our customers in India, Mutual Verse, they have what, 350 million users daily. So you can imagine the size, the volume of data. Well, you don't quite have the time to move. It would be super expensive. It would be super complex to move this data and then process it. And what we see is a lot of organizations struggling with the fact of using these kind of old ways of doing things, of bringing data to ML because of cost and complexity, but also it forces them to do compromises on the data. Then they're going to sample the data or they're going to aggregate it. The data scientists are not going to be that happy because they want the raw data, they want a complete picture. And that's what we've noticed working in our community with the likes of companies that I mentioned before, like Netflix, Uber, but also with the likes of FedEx, that they had a different pattern. They actually brought machine learning to the data in the operational data store, very often Apache Cassandra, in which the data is, and with the ability to run features, AI. So they would actually have ML within big data, if you want, this big operational data, and that really creates an advantage, obviously, in terms of speed, but it also helps all of this analytics and this machine learning to scale with the application. It gives access to the full data for the models they want to develop and the models they want to run. And there are also other advantages in terms of you're always using the same data set, so you don't see any issue with the model not behaving anymore as you expected. So that's the big challenge we see, and also part of the solution that not only we're seeing, but we want to contribute to. This is actually why we recently acquired a company called Cascada, which is an events processing engine that creates features. We've actually very recently open source, so everybody can give it a try at cascada.io. We're an open source company, so everything is open source at DataStax, but it's really to facilitate, make this pattern easier and solve this challenge. That's really the biggest technology challenge that we see when it comes to beyond implementing just ML and AI, but really getting to this real-time AI.
I think you've very well comprehended that for us, Thomas. If we've been speaking about artificial intelligence and how it's actually foreign and how easy and difficult, whatever the two aspects they would want to kind of look at it. Tell us what role do you see these artificial intelligence and machine learning playing in the future of big data and analytics, and how they are actually being integrated into these technologies today?
So first of all, I will go back to this notion of these technologies becoming absolutely fundamental to the application. We're going to get way more data. We're going to keep on having more data. I think it's the industry analyst firm IDC who said that 30% of data that we'll consume in 2 years is going to come from real-time data, and it doesn't exist today. So there's a huge potential. And now with these technologies, we'll have an instant understanding of the context of the customer, and then we'll be able to use various types of AI with this understanding of the context, and you marry it with the likes of a chat GPT or a GPT model along a large learning model, then you'll be able to create incredibly personalized experiences or reactions. So I think it's going to be fascinating. So the impact for big data and analytics is really to become in the application, but at the same time, it's going to generate so much better insights. We're going to get more data coming out from these experiences, and then we'll get even better insights. It will almost creating a virtual cycle of data, which we tend to see already. I mean, it's not by chance that Netflix is the best content creator, arguably the best content creator on the planet. It's also because they have the best analytics. So it really shows how big data and analytics are going to become more pervasive. But the impact on big data and analytics is also that it's going to become it's going to leverage the same tools that applications use to actually scale in the cloud, the same kind of underlying data layers, the same kind of use of serverless architecture. So there's going to be, and it's not a collision. It's actually really a confluence that is happening. That we're going to see an incredible acceleration. It may be the prime time for big data and analytics, because it's going to literally power now applications in the moment. I do think also that we'll see an impact of AI on these technologies, that is going to become, it's already possible to ask these models to create a data model to get better insights. So the speed at which and the ease with which we're going to be able to tap into the power of this data is going to accelerate drastically. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't understand how it works. I think that is a very important point, because we also need to control. We're talking about customer data. It's an experience. We make sure that we remain ethical and in respect of the regulation. So I'm not saying it's going to become like an assistant is not going to do, a virtual assistant is not going to do all of this work, but it's going to be an incredible phase where big data and analytics is going to become even more important and even more accessible. And that's why it's going to become even more strategic, because that's going to be an opportunity that's going to be available to a lot of companies or of organizations, and it's in the way to seize that opportunity that they're going to make the difference. And given the speed at which things evolve, it's going to be first a matter of survival, and then it's going to be a matter of winning. It's really how you assimilate, you stay in front of the race, and build your advantage.
You know, the last couple of liners that you've just mentioned, Thomas, is very pertinent to what I'm going to ask you next. You know, in order to drive these technologies, adopt and execute, implement, strategize, even we need those human skills in place. And when the organization believes into their employees, I think the end part, the objective, is fulfilled there. Now, what do you believe when, what are the key skills and competencies that actually individuals and organizations actually need to develop in order to thrive in the era of, big data and analytics?
You're absolutely right. It's a very, very important question, because it's not going to become like a dumb domain. And we absolutely, given the impact, we need critical skills. So first, I think having an understanding of the underlying math, of the underlying also technologies, is absolutely critical. If you want to innovate faster than the others and such, it's not going to, if everybody has access to a service like ChatGPT, everybody can do what we're doing. So you need to make a difference, and you need to be understanding and know where the boundaries are of what you can or should do. I think that's going to be important. So data literacy, having really understanding, having, even if you're not a deep data scientist, having an understanding. I think we're going to see probably another evolution we're going to see is the lines between data scientist, data engineer. I very often get the question. The outcome is going to matter more. So you're going to be the skills, having skills in both domains, maybe not an expert, but is going to be important. But just as important is how you understand the data, and which means what's the business meaning of the data. So I think everybody who wants to be successful in big data and analytics really have to have this business acumen. The data is representing the rest of the business. So if you want to turn it into a product, if you want to really fuel your customer experience with it, you need to have this business understanding and know how to map it to the data. This is how this is another actually requirement to be innovative. The third one I would say is really, it's probably softer skills, but being able to, first of all, be innovative, having the cadence to try and fail and try again and really go through it, because speed is going to be critical. And at the end of the day, also having being you're going to work with people with different skills. The teamwork is not gonna disappear. We're gonna work differently, but we're still gonna work together. So soft skills in terms of communications, in terms of aligning a team, leading a team is also going to be critically important, especially as the domains, as you're going to be making a bigger impact on business domains. So not only this understanding, but this ability to, like, almost, I was about to say sell an idea, but present an idea and convince is going to be critically important. So it's great being an expert, but an expert that can apply its expertise to a business domain and bring a team, a company behind is even more important. So that's why I think it's another evolution for big data and analytics. We've never been closer to the business, and we're going to get even closer to it. So that's why there are some skills requirements that come with it, and responsibilities, as you were highlighting very importantly. We're dealing with very sensitive data potentially. There's a lot of potential. Look at what's happening in life sciences and the way they look at clinical trials, past ones, and maybe try to find new conclusions from it. But there is also an ethical aspect to it. So that's why it's time to consider having a broader business perspective is absolutely going to be critical for our listeners who want to succeed in big data and analytics.
Now, those were some amazing tips, Thomas. Thank you so much. I think couldn't be a better, wrap up to our show today. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation, Thomas.
Thanks for having me. It was an honor and a pleasure.
So, folks, that was Thomas Bean from DataStax, and I'm sure you would have your notes prepared as to what Thomas have just mentioned. I'll be coming back with some more podcast episode very soon. Till then, please stay tuned to TechGig and keep an eye on the latest updates. Thank you so much, everyone.